The next hour is dedicated to Pillar 1 of Horizon Europe, Excellent Science. But before I go into detail, I'd like to give you a brief overview on the structure of Horizon Europe, for those of you who were not present yesterday. Those familiar with Horizon 2020 will easily recognize a very similar three-pillar structure, with Pillar 1, Excellent Science, containing the ERC, Sklodowska-Curie actions, and research infrastructures. We then have Pillar 2, Global Challenges and European Industrial Competitiveness, including the clusters. And then we have the Innovation Pillar, Innovative Europe, including, among others, the European Innovation Council. And we have, again, a horizontal program, widening participation and strengthening the European research area. As you can see, Horizon Europe is an evolution and not a revolution. But now let me go to the Excellent Science pillar. That includes three quite old programs that have been present in the past generations of framework programs. And let me start with the ERC, European Research Council. Well, the ERC is a very successful program inside the framework programs, and it is especially successful for Switzerland. Swiss researchers have a much higher success rate than in the European average. But what is the ERC? The ERC funds groundbreaking research projects that are out of the blue, dream projects, but already in a mature shape. The important point here is that it's really pioneering research and not continuation of interesting projects. It's not about low-hanging fruits. The ERC is open to any discipline. There are no defined priorities. And there are just two evaluation criteria. It's the scientific excellence of the PI, principal investigator, and the scientific excellence of the research project. No consortia are needed. It's one single PI who submits his or her dream project. With an exception of the ERC Synergy Grant, where we need 2 to 4 PI, but not in the sense of a consortium. The host organization needs to be based in the EU member state or in an associated country. What does this mean for Switzerland? I can come to that towards the end of my presentation. This slide shows you the 4 excellence grant types in function of the years after PhD. We have the starting grant for the starting researchers who are 2 up to 7 years after their PhD. And right afterwards, the ERC Consolidator Grant. This grant scheme is for those between 7 and 12 years post-PhD who are consolidating their research career. And then we have the Advanced Grant for the very established top researchers. We have then a newer grant scheme. As I said, it's the ERC Synergy Grant. Here we have the 2 to 4 PIs who want to tackle a complex problem from different angles together. This slide doesn't display a 5th grant scheme, the proof of concept. The proof of concept scheme is for grantees, for grant holders. So I won't cover this grant scheme in my presentation. Let me now go through the single grant types, starting with the starting grant for the youngest researchers. So this is for those who are at the start of their independent career, but it's not a complete start because they need already to have some achievements as an independent researcher, independent from their PhD supervisor. There are 2 up to 7 years post-PhD. This eligibility rule is implemented very strictly, but extensions are possible under well-defined circumstances, such as maternity or paternity leave, military service, and long-term illness. The projects are up to 5 years with a maximal funding of 1.5 million euro. In all grant schemes, we have the rule of 50% at least working in Europe. And we have a certain amount of working time that needs to be worked on the ERC project. In the case of the starting grant, this commitment is at least 50%. The consolidated grant. This grant scheme is very similar to the starting grant with two main differences. So on one hand, it's for those who are consolidating their own independent research career and who are 7 to 12 years post-PhD. Consequently, they are more advanced in their career and have to show more achievements, more publications. And then the maximal funding is higher, it's up to 2 million euro. By the way, in all grant schemes, more budget can be requested, up to 1 million more in the case of special circumstances. For example, if the PI need access or need expensive infrastructure for their project. Then the ERC Advanced Grant. Here we don't have an eligibility window per se. This grant type is open to the most established top-notch researchers, those who have an excellent, outstanding track record. And they have to show that for the past 10 years in the proposal. The budget is here up to 2.5 million euro per project. And then we have the synergy grant that is special. It's for 2 to 4 researchers who collaborate together on a research project, but each PI coming from a different angle or different discipline. And the project would not be possible with one PI less. So every PI complements the others and brings in specific expertise. All PI have an excellent track record, and the important message is here. It's not necessarily an advanced grant profile that is needed here. Starting grant or consolidated grant profile is perfectly possible. So check out if this could be something for you, even if you are a younger researcher. The maximal funding rate here is 10 million euro, again with possibly higher budget in special cases, and the projects are up to 6 years. How is the evaluation done? It's done by thematic panels. In the case of the starting, consolidator, and advanced grant, we have 27 panels. And in the synergy grant, we have a more dynamic panel structure. You find the description, the exact description of these panels on the ERC website. There are in all grant types 2 panel sets active every second year, which means that in the 21 calls, the panels of 2019 will be active. And actually every grant type has their own panels, specific panels for the calls. And the names of the panel members and panel chairs are published once the calls are closed. So if you're interested in the ERC, check out the names of the panel members in the panels you're interested in. In all grant types, there are more than one evaluation steps. You submit your proposal by the deadline, but only one part of the proposal is assessed in the first evaluation step. So in the second evaluation step, remote referees who are specialists, true specialists of the domains of the applicants, come in and evaluate the proposals too. And in the second, and in the case of the third evaluation step in the synergy grant, there are also interviews. So the applicants admitted to the second or third evaluation step are invited to present the project in front of the panel, either remote or in Brussels. The new is that also in the case of that advanced grant, interviews will take place. This slide shows you the usual ERC call calendar. Why usual? Because 21 is not a usual year. First, because we have a new framework program, and this framework program even starts with a delay, as you have heard yesterday. So the ERC was not able to start its calls in summer or autumn before, as they normally do. So this is why I present you now the normal ERC calendar that you can expect from 23 on. Normally, starting and synergy grant calls open in July before the call year, with a deadline in October or November, respectively. Consolidated grant calls normally open in October, with a deadline in February, and advanced grant calls normally open in May, with a deadline in August. So every call is normally published once per year. How does the call calendar look like for this year, 2021? I wish I could give you more precise information, but at least I have some rumors and tentative dates. So we expect the starting grant to open very soon. We expect it to open even at the end of February, with a deadline of the 24th of March. So you can see that the call opening will be very, very short, which means for you, if you're interested in the starting grant, you should start writing your proposal right now. The consolidated grant should have started in January as the starting grant too, but there's also a delay, so we expect it to start perhaps in March, with a deadline on the 20th of April. And rumors say that the advanced grant will start in May, with a deadline on the 31st of August. We don't expect a call for the synergy grants this year, but please be aware that we expect the 22 call already towards the end of the year. So there's something like 9 months left to the opening of the synergy grant. If you are interested in this grant type, start to prepare your project now. Well, if you're interested in this grant, in the ERC, then your next steps could be to check if and when the best moment to submit a proposal could be. Check out the ERC website. It's a very attractive website, displaying, for example, all information on past calls, a database with all funded projects in all domains since the beginning 14 years ago of the ERC, all interesting information on the panel structure, panel names, success stories, and there are new ERC movies, so-called ERC classes, showing you through the application process. Then talk to peers as much as possible. Let you motivate. Those of you who were not present yesterday, check out yesterday's YouTube movie on our YouTube channel. We had a very nice presentation from Athena, who is ERC grantee and who gave very nice input and was very motivational. Check out and let's get motivated from her. And then, of course, we strongly motivate you to contact us, Euresearch, early enough, not 1 hour before the deadline. Once you're decided to submit your proposal, read the work program and the information for applicants. These are the two most important documents. Actually, these documents for the 21 call are not published yet, unfortunately. What's to do now? So read these documents from the 2020 calls and use the templates of the 2020 calls, because we don't expect many changes. Then be informed that Euresearch offers applicants trainings for those who are sure they want to submit. And we offer also interview trainings for those who will be invited to the interview. Check out the panel structure and contact the Euresearch office at your institution or in your region early enough. And don't hesitate to contact us. As the experts at the Euresearch Network Office, my colleague Judith, my new colleague Jennifer, my colleague Veronique, who is not displayed here because she's expecting her baby, and myself, and of course our colleagues in the regions. And now I'm continuing with the second program inside the first pillar, is the Sklodowska-Curie actions. It's an old program being present since generations of framework programs. What is the main goal of this program? It's supporting mobility, training, and career development of researchers of any nationality. It's a purely bottom-up program, which means there are no defined priorities. The MSCA have a positive impact on both, on two levels. On one hand, on individual researchers and their career development, and on the other hand, also on the development of excellent doctoral and postdoctoral programs. The MSCA are based on the principle of mobility among countries, but also mobility among disciplines, among sectors, and among the academic and non-academic domain. This slide here shows you an overview on the 5 actions under the Marie Sklodowska-Curie program. And those of you who were familiar with MSCA under the past framework program will easily recognize these 5 programs. The names change sometimes, and sometimes there are new rules, but the programs are more or less the same. Again, it's an evolution and not a revolution. We have, firstly, the doctoral networks. These were called ITN under Horizon 2020. We have then staff exchange. This program was called RISE under Horizon 2020. We have the postdoctoral fellowships that were called individual fellowships. We have COFUND, and then we have MSCA and Citizens. This program was called Researchers' Night in the previous framework program. So I'm going now through these 5 programs, one after the other. What are the doctoral networks? It is a program that implements doctoral programs via partnerships between universities, research institutions, research infrastructures, businesses, SME, and other actors. They offer trainings and the development of skills and competencies that are relevant for innovation and long-term employability of the researchers. Proposals for doctoral networks can base on existing networks between the partners, but also new networks, planned networks among the participating organizations. There is a focus on industrial and joint doctorates. As you will have understood, we need here a consortium. We already know the tentative call dates. We expect the call to open on the 4th of May with a deadline of the 16th of November. The overall EU contribution for these networks is maximally 360 per month. In the case of joint or industrial doctorates, we have a higher contribution, maximally 450 per month. The maximal project duration is 4 years. And please be aware that there may be restrictions on resubmission in the case of non-successful proposals. This is new. MSCA Staff Exchange. What is this program? Here it is about the promotion of international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary collaboration in research and innovation through the exchange of staff. And here we mean staff in research, and technical staff, administration staff, and management staff. It involves organizations from the academic as well as the non-academic sectors, including SME. Again, here we need consortia. And please be aware that here no salaries are paid because it's the outstanding institution that continues to pay the salaries of the seconded staff. But a top-up allowance will be paid by the EU. Again, the project duration is up to 4 years, and the maximal EC contribution is up to 360 per month. We know already tentative call dates. The first call is expected to open on the 7th of October with a deadline on the 9th of March 2022. Next scheme, the very attractive postdoctoral fellowships. What is it about? This action funds researchers holding a PhD degree who wish to acquire new skills through training, international exchange, and developing new skills. It is open to any nationality. And it is also open to the academic as well as the non-academic sector. It's also very attractive for researchers who wish to reintegrate in Europe or those who wish to reintegrate in a research career. This is a mono-beneficiary grant type, which means that the researchers submit their own individual attractive research projects. Project duration is between 1 and 3 years. Please be aware that there's a new rule. At the call deadline, researchers have maximally 8 years post-PhD. And the tentative call opening is scheduled for the 15th of April with a deadline on the 15th of September. And now the fourth Sklodowska-Curie action is COFUND. Here it's about co-financing new or already existing doctoral and postdoctoral programs. The aim here is to spread the best practices of the MSCA, including international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary research training. Here we have it again, this interdisciplinary, intersectoral, transnational, cross-sectoral mobility. This is a mono-beneficiary grant scheme. The next call is expected to open on the 11th of October with a deadline on the 10th of February 22. And then we have the fifth and last action, MSCA and Citizens. The old name was Researchers' Night. The aim of this scheme is to bring the research community and the public at large together, to inspire the public, to inspire young research, young people, and to make a research career attractive. Here, the EU contribution is paid as a lump sum and it's maximally €150,000 per edition. The focus here is on the priorities of the European Commission and on the so-called missions. You will hear more on these missions later this morning. It's cancer, climate, ocean, climate neutral cities, and soil. And again, we know tentative call dates. The call is expected to open on the 17th of June with a deadline on the 14th of October. If you have questions, we have two eminent experts at our network office. It's our national contact point, Sibylla Martinelli and Juliane Sauer. And we have a third national contact point, Isabel Spüler, who is actually on maternity leave. My colleagues are very happy to take your questions later, whenever your questions arise, but also now we have the question and answer function. And with this, I continue with the third and last program inside Pillar 1. It's research infrastructures. Also a program that has been existing for years under the PATH framework programs. So what is it all about? Research infrastructures are different from the two PATH programs that I presented to you. It's a top-down program, which means that the topics are defined. It's not open to all ideas. So the main goal of the Research Infrastructures program is to make available world-class infrastructures and technology infrastructures to foster excellence in science and innovation. Like the other programs under Horizon Europe, this program contributes to the Sustainable Development Goals. Previous framework programs have already made a big step forward, a significant contribution towards a more efficient and effective use of national research infrastructures on a European level. The key player here is S3, the European Strategy Forum on Research Infrastructures. They contribute in shaping a coherent and strategy-led research infrastructure landscape. The Research Infrastructures work program is structured around 5 destinations. But what is a destination? This is a new term introduced in the work programs in Horizon Europe. It summarizes the overall expected impacts. It is a kind of grouping of the calls. So what are these 5 destinations in the Research Infrastructures program? The first one is developing, consolidating and optimizing the European research and innovation landscape, maintaining global leadership. The aim here is to contribute to a strong and impactful European research area. The second destination is enabling an operational, open and fair European open science cloud ecosystem. And with fair, I mean findable, accessible, interoperable and reusable data. The third destination is research infrastructure services to support health research, accelerate the green and digital transformation, and advanced frontier knowledge. Those of you who were familiar with the integrating activities in the former framework programs, destination here is closest to it. It will provide access to research infrastructures related to health and the green and digital transformation. And the fourth and fifth destinations. The fourth destination is next generation of scientific instrumentation, tools and methods, and advanced digital solutions. Here it is about building these infrastructures, developing them. And the aim here is to keep Europe's research infrastructures at the highest level of excellence. The fifth and last destination is network connectivity in research and education, enabling collaboration without boundaries. This is about planning the future of the SHARE network to interconnect researchers, data and computing resources. The ultimate aim here is again to allow scientists to carry out excellent research. The first calls are expected to open in April, with the first deadlines in September. This may be subject to change, but you have our expert, Nicole Wies, who is here for you to inform you on any news that we have in the Research Infrastructures Program. She's open to your questions now via the question and answer function and anytime later. Now, before I end my presentation, I would like to give you a very brief overview on the association status of Switzerland. Yesterday, we had Philipp Langer speaking, and he explained the situation of Switzerland and the EU in detail. So have a look at the YouTube video on our YouTube channel if you wish to be informed in detail. But now I'd like to just give you a very brief overview where we stand and what this means concretely for you. Switzerland, as a non-EU country, has to associate to Horizon Europe, such as other countries who were associated or who wish to associate to a framework program, for example, Norway or Israel or Turkey. None of this country is associated at the moment. As Horizon Europe has not started officially, it was not possible to start the negotiations between these countries, including Switzerland and the European Commission. Official negotiations will start soon, within the next weeks. And we don't know at the moment when the negotiations will be concluded. We don't know that neither for Switzerland. So what to do until these agreements happen? All these countries, including Switzerland, are considered for this transition phase as if already associated to Horizon Europe. We are in a so-called transition phase. So you as a researcher in Switzerland, you can consider yourself as eligible for all calls as if Switzerland was already an associated country. And we hope that the State Secretariat can conclude as soon as possible the negotiations with the European Commission. But for the moment, this is not important for you. Important for you is that you should prepare and submit your proposal as if Switzerland was already an associated country. So, for example, for the ERC, if you plan to submit a proposal, you are fully eligible and you submit just normally your proposal. Also, if you're interested in submitting a proposal with a collaborative project, you participate just as a normal person, fully eligible person, fully eligible for funding, for coordination, as if Switzerland was already associated. If ever, within some months, we see that a full association to Horizon Europe is not possible, then we will have national funding for the collaborative projects, as Philip told you in detail yesterday. And for the monobeneficiary grant, SERI is checking out possibilities, very attractive possibilities for national funding. So don't be afraid, prepare your proposal. And if ever you have questions, we are here for you to answer your question. And be aware that also the Swiss State Secretariat for Education, Research and Innovation, SERI, has an attractive website with updated information, an updated FAQ, and also a fact sheet for the researchers. And perhaps you can also inform your colleagues outside Switzerland if ever you want to collaborate with partners outside Switzerland, so that they are very well informed on the status and the possibilities of Switzerland. And again, we are here for you to answer any questions regarding the association, but also thematic questions. And with that, I'm ending my presentation. I'm happy to give the micro back to Sasha. Thank you.